I think we all experience anxiety sometimes.
I'm late for a very important date.
With speed and wisdom, fear assesses the situation and settles your nerves.
Right, Rex?
Well, yeah, no, I don't like confrontations.
Even these guys experience it. I personally experience anxiety all the time, and if I'm not prepared, it can really be a nightmare. But that's why I always have a metaphorical tool bag to get me through experiencing anxiety and navigating through life. A brief word from this week's ad. We're talking about anxiety this week. You may not know this, but I have a big aversion to mayonnaise. When I was younger, even the thought of an egg-based spread made me scream. I still have a fear, but today's the day and the time is now.
Or maybe mayonnaise, straight out of the jar.
I'm going to face my fears and eat the mayonnaise. This is delicious. Oh, did I mention this isn't mayonnaise? This is vanilla snack pack puddings shoved into a mayonnaise jar. Yeah, I didn't face my fears today. I bailed. Not today. Maybe another day. Challenge by choice, am I right? Today I'm talking about my mental health. I'm giving you a window and documenting how I navigate it. Mental health is not often talked about, I'll be honest. It can really be seen as taboo or awkward, but the reality is that the more conversations we have about it, the easier it's going to be to talk about it. That is, if you want, of course. We know I like the number 5, so I've got 5 elements that I identified as essential to experiencing anxiety in my life. And again, this is just me. Everyone's different, and you need to take the precautions that are best for you. For me, element 1 is recognizing and acknowledging my anxiety. When I feel myself getting overly stressed, I really try and identify what it is that's really stressing me out. This way, I can decide what to do with these feelings and how to address them. It might be a simple fix, like fold your laundry. Or it might be something a little more complicated, like I'm really anxious and stressed about this work meeting, but I know I've prepared, I just can't figure out why I'm stressed about it still. Back before I learned how to navigate my anxiety a little better, I think I experienced it 24/7. I was even in the school paper about it. I mean, truth be told, that was just me posing for a photo. Either way, learning the process of acknowledging and recognizing what makes me anxious in a stressful situation didn't happen overnight. But now that I know how to do it, and I'm still growing and learning it, it's made it a lot easier. Even if I don't get rid of the stressful feelings right then and there, recognizing those feelings makes me feel a little less out of sorts and a little bit more calm. The next element is to do a deeper dive into those stressors and anxiety. If I feel like I have the time and have a moment to go through a thought exercise, this is what I do. I like to try and pretend I'm a detective and figure out what the root cause of my anxiety is. I love a good flowchart, so sometimes I use those to organize all my thoughts. I can do it in my head, but having a visual sometimes makes it easier to figure out what exactly is making me anxious. Maybe the meeting I thought I was stressed about was really more about a social anxiety. And sometimes when I get to this point, I like to just leave it at that and say, I'm gonna work on that another time. But if I have the time, I might decide to dive in even deeper and find out what about the insecurity is causing me to feel this way. This way, I can really fix the issue and learn what situations cause me stress and anxiety. And through that, I can learn how to change my behaviors so that I can eliminate the big stress that I sometimes get. Element 3, finding little ways to alleviate anxiety. There are going to be times when you can't adapt your situation and you need to face the issue. Finding rituals and routines that make you feel calm and secure and in control can set you up for success and alleviate anxiety you might have. So what I like to do is control what I can. If arriving early gives you peace of mind that you won't be late, go for it. Maybe you're anxious about forgetting something. What I do for that is I set my clothes out the night before and I pack my bag the night before. That way, my margin of risk of forgetting something or doing something wrong in the morning is majorly decreased. Or if because you're a picky eater like me, and going to a new restaurant makes you anxious, look at the menu ahead of time. Element 4 is a hard one, and I'm still not very good at it sometimes, but it's asking for help when you need it. You don't need to be long-winded and give people this long explanation about why you need help and how you're so anxious, but if you're clear and concise and can identify what makes you anxious and what would make you feel less anxious, you can ask them for help. 9 times out of 10 people will be accommodating to your requests. Perhaps the ambiguity of social interactions makes you anxious. You could ask the group ahead of time to nail down a time and location. The details are going to need to get sorted out at some point. Or maybe you have an inexplicable fear of mayonnaise and can't stand the thought of it being on your sandwich at the restaurant you're dining at. Go ahead and ask the server to take it off, or leave it on the side. And if they can't, have another item in mind that you might want to eat instead. Whenever I'm going to a new place or I'm at a new store, I'm a firm believer in asking the employees for help. I'm a firm believer in calling ahead or asking an employee for more information when I can't find it easily. They will know exactly where my waterproof glue is, and they'll know exactly what the pool hours are. That way I'm not wandering aimlessly around the big orange store looking for a bottle of glue, and I can appropriately pack for my upcoming trip. I gotta remember the flippers, right? I'm someone who's comforted by having more information when going into the unknown. I try not to obsess or go overboard, of course, but asking someone else for help or more information can really make my experience a lot better. Element 5 is giving yourself grace. At the end of the day, I know that there are going to be good days and bad days for battling anxiety. I can't be a superhero every day. I know there are going to be days that I'm going to find myself anxious and stressed out of my mind for no apparent reason. And I'm not going to have the energy to try and drill down and find exactly what's making me anxious and identifying all the elements and finding how I can switch up my behavior. At that point, I just chalk it up to a wash of a day. And I give myself the permission to have a rest and relaxation evening instead. Talking about anxiety doesn't have to be so scary, right? We all experience stress in some way or another. And talking about it makes it easier for other people to understand what you're going through. When I use the 5 elements I mentioned in this video, I feel it's much easier to navigate my life and anxiety. I acknowledge my anxiety. I identify the portions of a situation that are making me anxious. I find small ways to alleviate my anxiety. I make sure to ask for help when I need it, and I also know to give myself grace sometimes. By the way, on a side note, isn't my shirt cool? It's from my Camp Buildings collection. It's a SHMO, which stands for Sit Here More Often. It's basically a fancy porta potty.